I'll be requesting my distinguished friends here would be to zero down onto the village which gave you birth. I have a great dream that the village tent where I used to take bath as a child, with or without clothes, I should see it again. My wish is not fulfilled yet, but I still have the dream. I'm sure your dreams are no different than mine. Reddy sahab, think about it. 1,000 villages. Yeah, see, this is something doable. You don't need a policy for that. Tank deepening, tank rejuvenation, funding, Government of India, Government of Telangana, zero down corruption, energy of the NRIs, everything is available. Put it together. That's what you can do in 1 year. By October, November, the moisture will go away. October to April, dig out the whole tank. Wait for the rains to come in the 2015. I'm sure the whole village will realize, oh, 50 acres has become 200 acres. 200 acres have become 500 acres. Amazing. Give a thought to that. It's possible. It can be done. That brings me to another point. We have this Hussain Sagar in the midst of the city. Every year, thousands of Ganeshas go inside it. Ganesha is supposed to provide hindrance-free, life. We may be living happily. I'm not too sure whether Hussain Sagar is living happily. Every year, a bit of it perishes. Another 20, 30 years, it won't exist. Give a thought to that. Just an idea I'm throwing out. NRIs will just cleanse the whole Hussain Sagar. Throw the challenge to the government. They may not do in 1 year, they'll do in 5 years. Empty the sagar. I want to see the bare bottom of it. I'm telling you, all political leaders will run towards the Hussain Sagar to cleanse it. Because so many cameras will be there around. Don't worry about it. It has been done all over. It has been done so many places. Cleansing the thing right in the center of the city. I'm not asking for money. I'm talking about your dream that if you can go in that direction. Solar power, I heard a lot about it. 1 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, 1 megawatt, 500 megawatt. Megawatts are not important to me. All I'm saying was some friend from Sydney, now she says some 100 units can be done with or without money. I'm not even asking 100 units. I'm asking only for 20 units. We have 12 honorable ministers in the Telangana cabinet. Opposition leader, Purnala Lakshmaya, Chandrasekhar Rao Saab, Chandrababu Naidu, Jagan Mohan Reddy. All these businesses put together, all your houses in Hyderabad, pick up these 20 houses, put your solar system on the top of it. I can tell you, after 3 months, they will invite you to come over and do that multiplier. With or without money, I don't think for doing 20 you need big money. The point I'm trying to tell you is, do something which you can do. Show it to the powers that be. Let me see the rest doesn't follow. These are the two ideas which I thought I'll just share with you. Talking of my thought process as to what I was thinking after listening to all of you, I can assure you that each one of you acted as my advisor. And the collective channel will become, some churning, and I'll try to do whatever I can. But 2 watersheds are important for anybody who thinks about Telangana. All of us talk about 53, 56. That we know. Munchindu, we went in. 69 is one watershed. Everyone talks about it. It was visible. Lots of people don't talk about 91. That was another watershed. 69 was a watershed of politics where we tried and failed. 91 was a watershed of a gross shift in direction of economy which all of us suffered but did not realize. It's not the time for me to go into the details of it, my dear friends. Between 91 and 2014, 4 processes have happened in 4 different sectors. Education. Forget higher education. KG, PG education has been privatized. It's easy to get admission in BTech. It's more difficult to get admission in a good KG school. Health has been privatized. Forget about the Apollo. That's a very big hospital. The basic PhD, you don't know where to go for a simple disease. You don't know where to go. Health has been privatized. As if that's not enough, entire industrialization has been privatized. Of course, that was a policy for that. We call it LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. Everything can be done by the private sector. As if government was a fool for all the 40 years after independence. As if the Nehru and IITs were fools. I'm a fool from IIT Kanpur. D. Subbarao was a fool who came from IIT Kanpur, my batchmate and my hostel mate. Mohan Reddy was another fool who came out of the same IIT Kanpur. The Raukelas, the Nagarjuna Sagar, the Bhagla, they're all fools. Because they gave us water, which gave us food, which sorted out the food problem of the country. We are all fools. My dear friends, put your hand on the heart and ask a question. What has happened to our mindset after 91? Government doctors are useless. Government teachers are waste. Government entrepreneurs are useless. What has happened to us? Do I tell you the figures if they don't frighten you? In 1989, almost 90% of energy of Andhra Pradesh, the then Andhra Pradesh, was done in the Genco. Genco was, Vidyut Saudha, that was Vidyut Saudha. Raghu, it was Vidyut Saudha in 89. It was no Genco, but Vidyut Saudha. Whatever Tata Rao may be having good or bad points, but certainly he was able to generate power. It's a different thing, unfortunately, between 1969 and 1991. 2 major shifts of my power capacity took place. Munuguru went to Vijayawada, 265 km away. You generate power at 2 rupees 30 paisa in probably Kothagudam, Ramagodam, where the coal is. You take it away 265 kilometers, become 1 rupee more, 350. Take it to Mudunuru, 500 kilometers away, become 5 rupees. What is happening? You are not transporting coal between the collieries of Singareni and Vijayawada or Mudunuru. You are transporting ash. No wisdom. But then it happened. It happened between 69 and 91. Shifting of your capacity from Telangana to somewhere else. We all are aware about it. Maybe that became a very visible reason for our agitation and so much of anger. But 91 onwards, I think very surreptitiously and very silently, this thing was happening. Things got privatized in education, in health, industrialization. Luckily, in agriculture also trying to be done. Private sector has come in the seeds, fertilizer, pesticides. It's okay, but still, the BT quota has not yet come. The BT CD has not come. Provide the BT, I think all agriculture will also be privatized. Forget about it. The point I want to share with the distinguished audience here is why this privatization mindset played havoc with the Telangana society and Telangana economy. This is very important. It played havoc with Telangana society and Telangana economy because essentially Telangana society and economy is a subsistence society. It's a subsistence economy. More than half the land is under dry land irrigation. Today there are rains, I'm feeling happy. A month ago there were no rains, I was stressed out. Even today, more than half the society and the land of Telangana looks at the Lord Indra for its happiness. Even today, after all the Pochampad and Nagarjuna Sagar and bore wells and whatnot, this fact has to be understood that my economy is subsistence. It is uncertain. Dry land is uncertain. Out of 5 years, 3 years are going to be doubtful. One may be very good, one may be average. When the surplus is assured, I am able to meet the various needs of my family. But when there is a stress, I do not know what to do for my daughter's marriage. I don't know for my son's education. Forget about nutrition. this society has suffered innumerable losses silently and surreptitiously because being essentially subsistence in its genetic code. Without assured surplus, I could not compete with someone else who is having an assured surplus of not one crop, not two crops, 3 crops in the Godavari Krishna Delta, 3 crops in the Gangetic Basin, 3 crops in the Punjab. Where do you compare? How do you compete? Assured triple crop wet irrigation gives assured surplus to the people who live in that geography. I'm not that lucky. Those assured surplus were able to provide them good education, good health, and probably good entrepreneurship. That's why this concept of liberalization, privatization, and globalization makes sense for the people who are living in the surplus assured geographies of Indus, Gangetic, Brahmaputra, Godavari Krishna, and Kaveri Delta, and not in the plateau lands of Telangana. What developed in Telangana? Hyderabad developed in Telangana. Real development. All rickshaw pullers are in Telangana, from Telangana. I think nowadays they have become the auto drivers. All menial work is done by Telangana. All coolies are from Telangana, whether it is in Bombay or Sholapur, Bhiwandi or Hyderabad. In the rising IT economy, where is Telangana? And that brings me to another very important issue of monoculturalization of the rising economy. Listen to it very carefully, that's another important. I think I have said it some other occasion also. Before 56, Revati will agree with me, the cropping pattern of Telangana was pretty diversified. Today, 2/3 of value addition on land is from paddy. In Telangana, the plateau land. 2/3 of my value addition in industrialization is IT. Forget BT. IDPL is gone. Reddy Lab has come. Give a thought to that my diversified soil base, I hope you know pretty well, Telangana has 4 types of soils. It is a diversified soil base. It's not a monocultural deltaic soil. It's not monocultural deltaic soil like you go to East Godavari or Kamalapur or Martina, that the soil is the same soil, the same chemistry, the same groundwater, the same minerals, the same paddy, the same productivity. I don't have it here. I have diversified soil base. It is optimally used for a diversified output. I forgot diversification, I forgot my genes, I went for the monocultural paddy. If you grow paddy, you are great. If you grow anything else, you are a fool. My God, what a travesty of truth. What is that you are growing in paddy? You bring Nagarjuna Sagar water, you bring the Pochampat water, you provide zinc, you provide the cementization of canal, all beautiful thing, all World Bank thing, everything becomes a loan, and at the end of it, you grow paddy. Is it the wisest of thing? Growing paddy, my dear sir, is converting your water as a raw material to paddy. Just like growing steel and the sponge iron is converting electricity as a raw material to steel. I hope you are understanding what I am saying. Water and electricity are becoming input to be converted into the 2 commodities of water into paddy and electricity into steel. Is that the wisest way of converting my water and power, which is the most precious commodity? I can't grow vitamins, the vegetables. I can't grow protein, the pulses and the oil seeds. I can't grow health, the herbs. Where my soil is ideally suited for that. It's meant for that. It's that. I forget my gold and go for not only bronze, but some Mattika medal. That's not wisdom. Now that brings me, I have mentioned two important things. Health, industries, and education got corporatized on one hand, but irrigation sector got contractorized. Now that is a cancer which has to be eradicated, number one. And the second thing is, both the growth trajectories in agriculture and industry, from a diversified base, it tended to go into monocultural direction. They are unsustainable, they are costly, and they are doomed to fail. drawing from these two premises, I will just request my distinguished friends here to give a thought to that. That's why in irrigation, I did not talk of the Jalyaganam or some big project or Pranta Chavella or Vidyasagar Rao has mentioned, and once the Bhagirath talks about all the things, I can't add on to that. No. All I'm trying to tell you, there is enough moisture in the Telangana land. Now this fact has to be understood. If you don't understand that, we'll miss the target. I'll take 2 minutes to talk about the land. By land I mean soil and moisture. I'm having on an average 750 millimeter rainfall in Hyderabad. Go to Mahbubnagar, it becomes 700. Go to Adilabad, becomes around 900. So I'm lucky to be between 700 to 900 millimeter rainfall in the whole Telangana geography. It's good, it's not bad, it's good. The most important thing for this water is, and this needs a little bit of understanding, this water, whether you like it or not, follows the law of gravity of Newton. Anything attracts, water is the first thing to be following law of gravity. It moves 1 kilometer, the speed becomes 1 kilometer per mile. Goes 10 kilometer, the speed becomes more. Takes away the soil with it, it goes into the canal, you dam it up, that becomes a silt. See, the point I'm trying to tell you is, again going back to the Kakatiyas, not for their politics, but for their water management irrigation. This is very important to understand. A water in the tank of a village is visible to 20 feet, 30 feet, not more than that. It can't be 30 feet, 20 feet. At the end of the year, the tank dries up. Matti will be taken away by the farmers whosoever needs it. Tank will get automatically cleaned up. Some additional horsepower is required, state can always provide for that. Thumb is broken, you can provide for that. At a minimal expenditure, visible to the people in the village, a tank provides the oxygen cylinder to the multiple socio-economic activities of the village. Don't tell me it grows only paddy, it does 1,000 things. Women come and congregate and worship Katta Maisamma. Fishermen come and worship. I mean, don't tell me what a tank doesn't do. I know the tank in my old village. Even the children like me used to take bath in that. Multiple things, you can't imagine. The tank has vanished, society is scattered, that's it. So give a thought to that, my dear friends. Can't we take a pledge that in Telangana, every village, there shall be at least one live tank. One, just one. It's not a big deal, it was happening long back. No technology, I think we have so much more technology. In those days there was no JCB, today we have JCB. There were people, there are people. I don't know who was doing the work, maybe the government was doing it. There were no contractors in those days, hopefully. So give a thought to that, that unless we rejuvenate this one tank in every village, whether they get licked up or not depends upon the basin, upon the geography, upon the gradient. I'm not going to that. Just one tank in every village. Give a thought to that. To what extent this forum can be a platform for giving a thought to that and taking it forward. 4 or 5 years are there. 10,000 Gram Panchayats. Let Telangana Development Forum have the pride that every village we had some intervention in a tank. About the solar power energy, I already mentioned about it. So many questions were raised about energy. I think it's time for me to talk about energy. Day before yesterday, some task force has been made. I am supposed to be there. I will be there. Don't worry. I had my own thoughts, but now they'll be added on with what all you have told me. Around 10-15 days time, I think policy will come out. You will all come to know about it. We'll discuss in the assembly. Within a month, budget, assembly, all that. See, don't worry about it. Some piece of paper will come, we'll say policy. That's not important. The important thing is to what extent you feel comfortable, the policy will make sense to you. Yes, we are talking about 6,000 megawatts. We are thinking of converting Singareni Colliery from a not coal producing company to an energy generating company. Why can't the whole coal of Singareni be converted into energy? Why can't I give the energy to everybody whosoever is taking coal out of it? That's a thought which is coming to us. Let us see. Anyway, we shall be deficit. Let us draw a line from the Wardha to Dichpalli, 323 kilometers. Power Grid Corporation can do that, private fellow can do that, let them do that, I don't care for them. But let there be a adequate evacuation mechanism between the central India and Telangana across Godavari. We are also thinking of some kind of a thing between this Gopalpatnam and this Warangal point. But that's not exactly that reliable. Difficult geography. We are not really very sure about it. We are thinking of this as solar power. Yes, we have talked about this kilowatt to 500 megawatts. It's for the first time we are thinking on those lines. We are not too sure how the terrain is. We may make mistakes. I can assure you one thing, mistakes will be inadvertent. We shall be too happy to correct it immediately. We may be innocent to make mistakes, but we are not wanted to keep on following it. No, we will not do it. Some things in solar will make sense. For a farmer, it will make sense. But if you say that I need 25 acre of land or 20 acre or 15 acre and let the government give me, my dear friends, it's going to be difficult. Acquiring 15-20 acre of land for solar purpose is not that easy. There is something called Land Acquisition Act in position. It won't be that easy. On that land, also we are trying to have an intervention and trying to come with something called a land pooling act. Because every time if you have to acquire the land, life becomes very difficult. Can't we pool the land of different people, government, private, whatever, and then use it for a certain purpose, generate profitability and share it equitably? Now that kind of a thing is coming to the mind of the government. Land pooling act. We have Land Acquisition Act, Land Assignment Act, Land Alienation Act. Now we are thinking of the Land Pooling Act. Let us see whether it makes sense. Another 1 month or so we will be going to know about it. Then of course we are having various other forms. Nuclear energy, some people talk of nuclear energy. MD has come and talked to me, but then I am slightly doubtful about it. I had my own doubts. I was collector Nalgonda. They wanted to really. N.T. Ramarao has almost decided to put up a nuclear power plant. And Nagarjuna Sagar, and then there was a huge procession in Merialgura, Kodad. It seems nuclear power will come there. Ladies cannot give birth to children, and the cows will not give milk or something like that. And the fields will become barren. So the whole thing generated lots of social concern. Now to what extent the environmentalists and the power engineers of nuclear, they can meet the challenges, I don't know. But they say it is safe. I would like to hear them. There is an option of nuclear power also. So nuclear, solar and these thermal, along with the evacuation mechanism, that's on the table. But I think I'd like to repeat what Raghu has said. Very important, I want to say that I'm glad he said it. Give a thought to that. In Secretariat, at any point in time, half the officers are not there inside the rooms. But the ACs and tube lights are working with full load. Makes any sense? Can't we have a master switch in each room? If Mr. Goel goes out, he can put on the master switch. At least that thing will be off for 2 hours. He comes back, put on the master switch. Again, whole thing will come on. I can save 25% energy in Secretariat. We always talk of power supply management. We never bother about the power demand management. Power conservation is starting from the top, is very much on the horizon. It's on the plate, we will see what can we do. Most of these industries, it's not understood, most of the industries are also wasting lots of power. Lots of power. 23% is a figure which I was told to me by this discussion. They can save lots of power. Production remaining the same. Power can be saved. They would like to put that on the agenda. Like to see whether we incentivize it. And the third and the most important thing is at the domestic level. At the domestic level, do we need all the power all the time? I mean, that's a very fundamental question. We are studying in one room, illumination is needed only there. Is it required to illuminate all the 10 rooms? All the times? Now this is a paradigm shift in the thought process of residential families. How do you go about it? Puja room, northeast room, front room, probably that can be illuminated. Where I study can be illuminated. All the 10 rooms. Avasarama. So that kind of a thing is very much on the horizon. Of course, our sister from Australia has said the rooftop power station. We are going to see whether it can become a part of reality. We are introducing net metering. I calculated some kind of economics for my own home. 4 lakh will be required to put a system. 2 lakh will come by subsidy. 2 lakh I have to pay from my pocket. I'm slightly afraid what to do. I agreed for that. Wife said, are you fool? 2 lakh rupees you are giving, don't give it. You are energy advisor. Ask some company. You put in a word, they will give it. I say, what to do? That's how we think, that's how we act. So I'm thinking to put it somehow at my rooftop. My bill will be reduced by 45%. That's what I'm told. Net metering. It's possible. We are trying to tell the bankers, can't you put at least 25% of the credit by way of repayment in savings? Can't you put it? Let us see whether it works out. That's another line. So basically, I mean, there's a huge area where we can talk about conservation of power. I wish our Vidyasagar Raoji was here, because this point I would like to make in his presence. Coming from Jubilee, beautiful rain. So whenever it rains, my mind goes per se. See, there was a great man, Anil Agarwal, head of the Center for Science and Environment. Was heard about him. He's no more. Great visionary. He used to tell when he was in schools, Are Goel, running water walk, walking water stop, stopped water percolate, can't we think? It never made a sense to me. What is he talking? When I became Commissioner Rural Development, it made all the sense to me. That's the concept of watershed. See, once again, I will come back in a little more details about the Telangana topography and my soils. The moment you take a village, no village is a plain like a delta. It is having undulations. There are high level area, there are low level area. If the village precipitation is conserved in the village tank, let me tell you, it will be having triple advantage. Number one, the water table will go up. Energy required to pull the water will not be so much, at least this much. Second most important thing is, when you capture the water in the proximate geography, there is something called soil moisture. In fact, people believe that whatever drop falls, either it is evaporated, or it goes in Nagarjuna Sagar, which is visible water, or it goes underground. No, sir. The water which falls, only 10% suffers evapotranspiration losses. 20% becomes a part of groundwater in a tank, medium tank, Nagarjuna Sagar, whatever, before it meets the sea. 20% becomes a part of groundwater regime. 50% water is not visible to you because it is with the mother soil, and that is called soil moisture. It is this soil moisture which is sucked in by the root zone of a plant and converts into photosynthate. So when the water is in the proximity, the very thirst by the root zone of the crop reduces. When you need less water, when the table is high, need less power to pull the deficit. And when some water has gone to Sri Salam and Nagarjuna Sagar and generating the hydel energy, which is almost a free energy, imagine. So this is the triple advantage I wanted to mention. Telangana geography is waiting for this triple advantage to be harnessed. And that will happen when the running water is stopped, water percolates and improves the soil moisture, the water table comes up, and the water table in whatever these reservoirs, and I have more hydel energy. But hydel is one thing. More than hydel, I am for the soil moisture. 50% of the water coming from the heavens becomes a part of soil moisture in Telangana lands. And that is what generates photosynthate. Not surface water, not the groundwater. So these are the three things I mentioned today, sir. 69 was a political watershed. We fought and lost. 91 was an economic watershed where the whole policy paradigm shifted. And something hit us which we did not realize. Education, health, and industrial development got privatized. It's not privatization of things, it is privatization of mindset. Mindset started believing anything in the government is bad, everything in the private sector is good. That mindset, that thought process, that paradigm shift has brought enormous misery to the subsistence society and economy of Telangana, which is still more than 50% based on dry land. We are not a surplus society, yet, not yet. So I have mentioned the concept of privatized mindset. Please get over it. We have got into a new state of Telangana, but unless a mindset also is liberated from the privatized clutches, we will not go very far. We will not bother about primary education, PHC and things like that. No, we will not. The second thing I use is contractorization. Entire irrigation sector has got contractorized. Please liberate it from that mindset. They are not ordinary people. They are very, very powerful people. Yes, they make and unmake rulers. So please come out of that contractor's mindset. And the third thing, of course, I mentioned is the simple home truths: the watershed, the energy, the tank, and the solar power. These things are doable by Telangana Development Forum. Please think about whether we can do that. Bigger things, what policy is being done, I am sure that in 10-15 days, something will come out of it. I can assure you one thing, all the points which you have mentioned over here will be sort of, I give a thought to that first of all, and try to see how they can be incorporated. I can assure you, if mistakes are made, they will not be deliberate, they shall be inadvertent, innocent mistakes. You can come out of it. And my only request to Ms. Reddy will be that after the policy is made, again after 3 months, because now they say the baby is 3 months old, but after 6 months the baby will not be so young, it will become 6 months old and keep on getting older. So after 3 months, you call us again in case there is a forum meeting anywhere, and I can assure you I will be answerable to each word I have spoken in this forum absolutely on that day after 3 months. Thank you very much.